Um, my husband lost a filling while we were gone, and he came home and went to the dentist, and the dentist did some x-rays, and he said, I don't know what's going on with your teeth. Has a lot of problems. He takes very good care of his teeth, and in spite of that, he has these cavities that are, up under the gum, and the dentist can't figure out what's going on. I immediately thought about oil pulling, so I've had him do that.
That's probably where I would go too. Up under the gum. Yeah.
It seems to be a systemic thing that's going on.
Yeah.
It's more than just gum.
Yeah, it's not the teeth. It's like there's probably like some severe like bacteria in the mouth, or it could even be sometimes in the gut and be coming up. And so like I like the idea of the oil pulling. Boy, what would I do with that?
I had him put bay laurel in it. I took your course
Solid choice
while I was gone the other day, and you mentioned bay laurel as a good antibacterial. And also, I guess,
is he having like a lot of plaque?
No, he doesn't have a lot of plaque.
That's
what's so kind of puzzling.
Yeah, I mean, the concern is like if it's just in the mouth, that's one thing. But like sometimes when there's a lot of plaque in the teeth, it's also happening in the veins and things, and so there could be a cardiovascular issue. And so that he's not having, that's a good sign. Let me just think this out for a second. So it's like under the gums.
Yeah, and he's he's too old to be getting cavities.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go a little bit off, like get weird with this a little bit. And so this is what I would do is like I would go to the health food store, and I would get a tincture, like there's different kinds of tinctures or like grades of tincture of echinacea, right?
Okay.
And I think, who makes it? I think Gaia makes a super echinacea, because there's different kinds of echinacea. And so what they do is they make it like a full spectrum echinacea. And I'd probably get it from them. You could use the capsules as well, and the Gaia capsules actually have a CO2 in the capsule, and you could open it up and put it in water, or take like a dropper full and put it in the water. And I'd have the water be like relatively warm, and then like gargle in the mouth, and then whatever he doesn't use as a gargle, like after he spits it out, like, there's going to be a little bit left in the glass, like have him drink it. I would probably have him take a dropper full a couple of times a day. He doesn't have any autoimmune issue or anything?
No.
Okay, so the reason I'm asking, because if you're taking a bunch of echinacea with autoimmune, sometimes it makes a weird inflammatory response.
Right.
And so like that does a bunch of different things. And one of the things that's really good for is echinacea, we think of it as like, fighting colds and flus, but like how it does what it does is it's a really good blood purifier. Oh. And that stuff is happening up under the gums, is that there's just like probably like inflammatory material that's in blood that's getting stuck in the tissue up in there, and no matter what, this should help. I would also take the tincture and like put it on the finger, and then like rub the tincture, like how I was talking about the cypress, but do it with echinacea. Okay. Because you're treating something different than what we were talking about before. And echinacea is incredibly good for the gums. Like many years ago, for a company that I did some like work for, is we spec'd out a mouthwash that we made that was echinacea based, and we added some essential oils and everything, but it was a really good mouthwash. The company didn't last very long. They didn't have great marketing. they were good. They couldn't make it. But I wonder if I could even if I couldn't find that formula, we could come up with something again. But just the echinacea by itself is actually really good for this issue. Okay. In like when I was traveling with the medicine man, when I was in South Dakota, a lot of times the plants are not named like for them in the tribe. They're not named how we would name them. Like, like echinacea grows wild up where I was at. It was up in the Dakotas, and they didn't call it echinacea. They called it toothache medicine. Huh. And so it's what literally you would use when there was like a toothache, a cavity, an abscess, or, something that's like super inflamed. You would go, and it's really hard to pull because the roots go down really deep. And so once you got it up, you would take a piece and cut it off and just like have the person like kind of chew on it for a little bit. And it has a little bit of a numbing effect, but it cleans up the gums, And so I like that. Like cypress is very good for like when the gums are real spongy and like what they're talking about, like where they're going to need to pull the teeth. But here you're just dealing with cavities and that it's up under the gum. That's just the gums are getting toxic. There's just some sort of toxicity happening there. And I mean, a lot of times it's just either something in the blood, like inflammatory material, or the lymph has just gotten really stagnant in the mouth, which happens. Like here's another example of like how we don't think about the gums, but people would come to me with like really impacted sinuses, like really super impacted sinuses. Like, even when they would do things to open up their sinuses wouldn't open up. Mm-hmm. And, we'd try a couple things, oils, everything, healing, nothing would work. And I'd slap on a rubber glove and I'd get in and I'd just start rubbing the roof of their mouth, and their nose would just totally pop open and release. And then the treatment, whatever, healing or oils, then they would work. But it was so impacted that it would impact the sinuses. And so, I mean, all I was doing was just moving the lymph on the roof of the mouth, and it would like let everything go there. So the mouth can actually get quite like toxic. And so,
would bay laurel be good for that then?
Bay laurel would be good for like the bacterias and the lymphatic part, but you could supplement or augment with the bay laurel, but I would probably go pretty hard on the echinacea.
Okay.
Like the echinacea is really good for cleaning that up. We're in the process of running down an echinacea CO2, but we're not going to probably have it for several months. And, I want to get a sample and have it evaluated off to a lab and all that. And so by the time we get it, you're going to be past needing it. Okay. So I would just go get the tincture, get a super strong tincture, like this. I think they call it super echinacea. And just apply it, gargle it, keep doing the pulling. And I'd probably do the pulling with the bay laurel. Like I like that as well. And between the two, it should help to somewhat resolve that. I mean, at least in theory, like that's pretty solid. I mean, there's always other reasons that it could be happening, but you just go through and you start fixing things and cleaning up the gums. Energetically, the two dirtiest places on the body are your feet. Like the knee down is etherically like just dirty on everybody, the dirtiest part of a person, and then their feet. And then the second is the mouth. Yeah. Like the mouth is just always, so, the idea of the pulling, of putting oils in the mouth, of gargles, of things like that, it just kind of keeps everything clean and kind of healthy.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you're so welcome.
I have one other question.